On Monday, the United States Supreme Court announced they are taking up a major Second Amendment case that deals with the New York law that prohibits concealed carry of handguns in public. Welcome back to Legal Briefs. I'm Wes Austin. I'm a lawyer keeping you updated on the latest legal news. All right, this case, let's take a look at the caption. New York State Rifle and Pistol Association v. Keith M. Corlett, and he is the superintendent of the New York State Police. In the state of New York, in order to get a permit to have a concealed weapon, you must prove that you have proper cause for self-protection. To carry a concealed handgun without restrictions under New York's law, applicants must convince a firearms licensing officer that they have an actual rather than speculative need for self-defense. So in New York, these concealed carry licenses are reserved for security professionals or those who face threats in their profession because of their occupation or because of their identity. Now, unlicensed individuals, they can keep handguns in their homes, but they aren't allowed to travel with them or carry them in public unless they have one of these licenses from the state of New York. And in New York, in order to get one of these licenses, an applicant needs to convince a firearms licensing officer that they have an actual rather than speculative need for self-defense. So that shouldn't be a huge problem as long as whoever is going to rob you or violently attack you, as long as they give you advance notice so that you can have time to get one of these licenses proving that you have an actual need rather than speculative need. It's been my experience that violent criminals are great at giving you advance notice like that. So that really shouldn't be a problem. That's a good rule. That's nice. Now in the state of New York, I don't know why anyone would need to have any kind of weapon. I think in 2020, the number of murders went up by 44%. So that's not bad. At least you didn't hit 50. So that's positive. Also in 2020, I think there were over 5,000 police officers that retired or put in their notice to leave. 75% increase from the year before. But I'm sure 2021 is going to be better. You know, we're very grateful for policemen, and we let them know how much we appreciate them all the time. So I'm sure New York's not going to have even more police officers leave this year. So again, why would anybody need a weapon in New York? I'm sure everything's fine. So let's talk a little bit about this case. So in New York, we had Robert Nash and Brandon Koch. They are backed by the National Rifle Association. They applied for one of these concealed carry licenses and they were rejected. The officials claimed that they did not have a special need or proper cause to qualify under New York state law to get this license. So they then filed this lawsuit asserting that this law in New York violated their Second Amendment rights. They did lose at the district court. Then they appealed that up to the Second Circuit. The Second Circuit also upheld the New York state law, saying it was constitutional. Then they appealed to the United States Supreme Court, and this is what happened on Monday. The United States Supreme Court said, yes, we're going to review this case. So there are many other states with laws similar to this law in New York. So if this New York law is found unconstitutional, these other states' laws will be unconstitutional as well. Some of these states are California, of course, come on, Delaware, Hawaii, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Jersey, and Rhode Island. They all have laws similar to New York. Now let's look briefly at the grant of certiorari. So again, this happened Monday, April 26th. And in this, the United States Supreme Court said the petition for a writ of certiorari is granted limited to the following question: whether the state's denial of petitioners' applications for concealed carry licenses for self-defense violated the Second Amendment. So that is the specific question that the U.S. Supreme Court will be looking at. They should be hearing that case in the fall, and we should have a decision sometime next year. So what do people think? Well, right now we have a 6-3 conservative majority in the U.S. Supreme Court. So I think a lot of people are thinking the U.S. Supreme Court will be expanding rights under the Second Amendment. Now, sometimes a justice who you would think is conservative, they make a decision where they actually seem like they're more on the liberal side. So I think we will have to wait and see exactly what happens when we see this opinion come down. but it is a major case. I don't think the Supreme Court has had a case this big on the Second Amendment for over a decade, so it is a big deal, and I will watch for it and try to keep you posted. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.